Okay guys, first of all, Spadia is not just a YouTube channel. We have also digital products, physical products, which are going to help you about everything we talk about in these videos. You can find two links in the descriptions below. And now let's get back to the video you came here to actually watch. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we'll be continuing our discussions on a month for performance. This is the second to last video. We'll be talking about performance in the overall picture of trying to improve both the performance inside the gym and your work and business life as well. But this is going to be a deeper dive why you need to safeguard especially your weekends, because that is when we usually have the most free time, and also when people fuck up the most with their own habits, and how you can structure or prepare how you can structure your weekends in order to prepare for the next week which is going to come. So either that could be for your 9-to-5 job or for any kind of business or even work you are doing. Why this is important is that the weekends are the time when people crush the most. And what I mean by crush is that we aren't taught to structure our weekends in a way to engage our cognitive minds. Now what this basically means, and I will tell you an example. I see all the time people basically come to Monday to their work and they look completely almost dead, not wanting to be there. And this is especially for the reason, and one of the biggest reasons, is that you did not basically prepare during the weekend for your own mind to be ready to do additional work in the next few days. The worst thing you can do is when basically Friday ends and your usual 9-to-5 ends or your work ends, the worst thing you can do is to then basically completely stop during your weekends on doing any kind of work. This also could be related to gym or anything else. Usually even inside of the gym structure, which we'll talk about, usually people have routines of, for example, going to the gym for 5 days a week and then they have 2 days off, which could be during the weekends, or it could be just Monday, Wednesday, Friday of 3 times a week gym and then 2 days off. And this is really what you want to avoid, because it's especially during the weekends when you want to do as many, at least some, but as many outdoor activities as you can in order to basically still engage your mind, but to also focus on work, and not just in terms of work as an output in terms of the sports and gym, but also to engage your cognitive mind in terms of working on the usual work tasks you will have usually otherwise done inside of your business, work, or any other endeavor on that front. Now, I would tell you one thing, that performance is basically reliant on your ability to perform. I think everyone pretty much knows that, but this is why preparing your weekends for the next week is huge. One thing I will say, if you do that, you will automatically feel better about yourself, which is the one thing. And you have already accomplished more than anyone else pretty much if you continue on your weekends to work on yourself and not just kind of watch TV, Netflix, going out with people. That's obviously fine. However, if you want to maximize your performance, these are the activities which will take you further from engaging your mind in ways which would induce the improvements in performance, because as we usually also say, if you don't use it, you lose it. And what you need to figure out is that if you are able to engage your cognitive mind during your weekends, this is going to first have a better self-esteem, because you automatically subconsciously know that you've done a lot more than anyone else during that weekend. But when the actual Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday rolls around, you are already pretty much flatline, much better prepared than anyone else to go straight into work. And once you actually do the work and accomplish it faster, because this shit works quite heavily, then you're going to have even higher self-esteem of yourself, and you're going to be more likely to be able to perform much better work, faster work, and deliver where it needs to be. So I would say one thing which was a study as well, which that basically it was a study on mice, and what they found is that they've basically put them into fights, and basically the mice that won the previous fight was much more likely to win the next fight. And this basically went on and on and on, and as on the contrary of that, the mice who lost the first fight was then more likely to lose the next fight and next fight and next fight. So this is why you want to basically already, let's say, start your next week already on the weekends, because if you're able to just win in your own mind by engaging your cognitive mind, learning, getting better and working, well, you pretty much know that nobody else is doing that. You will be automatically winning in your own life, and you will improve your performance automatically by having this idea in your head that you're already a winner, and you will be basically outpacing pretty much anyone you see. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that, one, it's short term. Yes, if you did this one weekend and then the second weekend you wouldn't have done it, the second weekend you don't do this, what I'm talking about right now, you will not see huge spikes of performance because of what you've done the previous weekend. But if you, on the other hand, it's not just short term, if you are able to do this over a long time period, so for example, if you always use your weekends to engage your cognitive minds, this is going to basically look, let's say, as a graph which is just going up, and the improvements in performance will be pretty much, the improvements in performance are going to be larger and larger by each week, and you will notice it by just 2 or 3 months in, is that your life is going to be completely different. And I just mentioned that pretty much all of us can change our entire lives in a time span of 3 months. It's not that hard to do. Obviously, you need to have right context about what to do, but that is also part of it to learn based on our failures and mistakes. So just make sure to, if you want to have increased performance during the next week, and even if you sometimes feel sluggish, this can be used as a tool in terms of the overall structure of the video we are talking about, to make sure you have some kind of structure for your weekends. Now, we've talked about the general context and what to do, because I think practicality is useful here in terms of what I'm doing, for example, myself, but also what many people are doing on a basically every weekend basis. And if you come into this structure, you will actually stop thinking about weekends as weekends, but you will be thinking about this as any other ordinary day on that front. And what this is going to, what is crazy is going to allow you to do, is that if you are able to do your work or anything you would have liked to do also during weekends, if you have that possibility, for example, if you are working for your business on that hand, well, if you want to just take a drink on Tuesdays, which usually most people can do, you just can. And it won't even fuck up your own schedule, your own work, your own tasks, because you have basically this flat line of increased performance throughout the entire week. So that helps you quite a bit to just have more freedom and do whatever you want, guys. So into the practicality of it, what do you like to do? One thing, the ways to engage your cognitive mind is to make sure you keep learning and getting new concepts into your own heads. And the third thing also is to make sure that you move towards your goal, or to make some kind of progress towards a goal you've set. So how this looks like, in the simplest way possible, if you don't know anything that you could do to engage your cognitive mind, reading a book, any kind of book which actually matters for you. For example, it has to solve a pain point which you have. Do not comment about fantasy books. I know they are lovely for a lot of people, but this is absolutely not what this is about. We are talking about educational books which are going to help you to advance towards a particular goal, which are going to help you enhance your knowledge about, for example, it could be knowledge about your business when it's going to grow. It could be about any kind of skill you need to improve, your people skills, for example. If you do that during the weekend, then you even get to crazy situations when you read that, and you get into many situations where you can actually implement what you read during the weekend in the next week, and you might have not even thought about that. So this is super useful, and I will go to those crazy lengths, is that you could literally read books for 2 entire days straight. This isn't that hard to do. I'm not sure what's the perceived like hardness of doing this for a lot of you guys, but reading books for 2 days straight isn't that hard, and it's going to feel quite good when you actually finish that on that front. Obviously, you want to take breaks in between. So for example, you would have read a book for, let's say, hour and a half, and then you can switch off to, for example, doing some kind of work which you need to do. You need to prepare a plan for something, so you can also do that, and then you can then come back to reading the book you've started to read. And this is how you can basically get back to back. to basically do the same activity of reading the book, but this is how also it works, that you can read as many pages as you want. You don't want to be doing the same activity for the entirety of 2 days, because you will never stick to that, and if you do, you will hate it, and you will be even less likely to come back to it. And even if you will come back to it, because that still can happen if you have a high resilience, which can be measured, even though a lot of people say it can't, you will not learn as much as you could if you actually really focus on that book and really derived actual enjoyment from it, because otherwise you might not get much from it. So this is what you can do. The second thing what you can do is to always prepare what you can work on. If you don't have work, if you don't have business, if you don't have a 9-to-5 job, which you can also work during your weekends, you can also always try to look for additional work you can do, even around your local area or on the internet as well, and then that can then translate to doing additional work and getting additional income, and especially skills, because skills are more important than income from pretty much any kind of job. And that can even help you to be able to use your time during the weekends to again have higher self-esteem about yourself, which is going to help you the most, not just in performance, but when communicating with people. You'll be basically pushing forward as the first guy who is trying to do that inside of your social group. So this is going to be huge for you. So these are basically 2 things you want to do. And the third thing I will still mention that you want to continue to do gym. Gym, I will also mention, is that gym and sports, we could usually you can think of them as the same concept in this video, but you want to engage your cognitive mind through sport or gym as well. Now, how or why this would work is that basically we are always using the neurons even when we work or when we do gym. And for example, this is also the reason why if you have a really hard leg day, for example, and then if you were to come to work, you don't feel good about doing the work at your workplace. It feels pretty hard. This is because you are basically using the same energy inside of your head, so you need to basically replenish that, but you don't have it, so the work in the workplace feels much harder to do. But this is why doing gym during the weekend, one, it always makes you to feel better about yourself. But the second thing, that engages your mind heavily on that, and it prepares you for the next week onwards. So it doesn't just have to be work, but it can be physical activity. Gym is the best, sports are the second best. You could do also endurance training, so for example going on a run, which could be also worthwhile. The reason why sports may not be the best is that it's more cardio based, and it's not going to help you as much to have this increase of performance due to engaging your cognitive mind, because you need to have a huge stress with the spike of cortisol, which usually when you feel stressed, that is also what spikes, or because of it. And basically during endurance training doesn't do that as well as lifting weights in the gym, so you just need to be careful about that. But you can pick any of those, and if it's going to fill up your time, you are going to be doing quite well. The additional thing I have also written down for you guys is that people fail most often on weekends about their habits, about their goals, and anything else. There is huge, I think, NoFap movement maybe kind of dying off. I'm not sure because I don't really follow that. But I remember all of people saying that when they are doing those activities, they tend to fail during the weekends the most, especially, or when people are going to the gym and they tend to fail or not come to the gym during the weekends, especially. Even if they want to, you basically are much more likely to sleep in during the weekends because you usually don't have much going on them. So it gives you a perceived time, let's say discrepancy, even we could call it, where you feel like you would be able to accomplish pretty much everything on the weekend you need to do because you don't have much going on. So you don't even try, and you even wake up later. But if you do that, you will feel basically lazier, and this is going to make you even less likely to actually get to the gym, for example. So this is why basically making sure that the gym is also a stable activity which you are doing every weekend for you is huge. And to make sure that you can do it for both Saturday and Sunday, because this is going to Also engage your own body in terms of any kind of physical activity you can do in there. It even could be a session which is more higher reps based. It doesn't have to be your PRs, but just make sure to get in there, because this is what's going to make you continue to want to grow the next week. And it feels pretty good, guys. If you are able to basically go on Saturday at 7 a.m. to the gym, it's pretty awesome, and you will feel amazing about yourself, even better than if you will have gone every day from Monday to Friday, because you pretty much damn well know that, and you see that in the gyms on Saturdays, not a lot of people in there. It's a lot of just basically men are getting drunk from Friday to Saturday, doing shit. Also, if you actually do that, that's going to pretty much help you to just get ahead on that front. Additional thing is just helping you to have better cognitive performance in short term and long term, but it's making you avoid the bad habits you would usually have. If you basically have set yourself up to have a gym, then maybe you need to cook food for yourself, you need to read a book, you need to work on something. When the day comes to like 4, 7, 8 p.m., you are pretty much just crashing and wanting to go to sleep, and you even don't have time to check your phone, to check your notifications at all. It takes away all of these things that basically just take away your attention on that front, and you are able to much more easily focus on what actually matters for you. And by the start of the next week, you will feel amazing about both of these you've had during the weekend, especially if someone asks, because that's pretty much the usual standard question about how was your weekend. Pretty much everyone asks that on Monday. You have one hell of a story to tell, guys, so just keep this in mind. It's not a secret trick, but it's a trick which you can basically pull off at any time you want, and to keep it consistent is pretty much the best way to go. What I want to then mention as a second tool, because we've just now mentioned the first two as well, I could have paraphrased that as well, is that what you want to do is to make sure that your weekend is similar to your work week, but it's also similar to every other weekend you have. Now, the reason why you want your weekend to be similar to your work week is that based on our entire evolution in our own mind, we have been basically set up to be prediction machines, and if you are able to consistently do the same things every day, your own minds will be basically prepared to do those activities every day much better, because it already predicts them. And this is why, for example, also when you're lifting in the gym, as an example, if you are always pulling the same weight, your body will automatically adapt that, because it predicts you to do that, and you will be already adapted, and you won't have much growth in terms of, for example, hypertrophy or even strength or power. You might have some, but it's never going to be as great as when you first started to do that particular movement with that particular weight. So this is why you want to have, in terms of your work weeks and weekends, very similar activities, or pretty much very similar structure of making sure you wake up in the same day, at the same time, also on the same day, and every day for the same time. Make sure you eat the same things, or pretty much very similar things at the similar time, and make sure you just basically keep that consistent, because what a lot of times happens is that from Monday to Friday we are pretty much consistent, because people have to be, because of the 9 to 5 job, to have lunch at this time, to have breakfast at a specific set of time, and then to have dinner at specific set of time. But for example, on weekends this can be very much different for a lot of people. If you manage to wake up 5 hours later than you've usually done previously, because you don't have your work to do. But pretty much the best thing you can do is to just stick to your plan and what is your usual schedule, because this is going to kickstart your weekends, and you are going to even stop thinking about your weekends as your weekends, but you are going to use them in the same way you would have used your work weeks, and you will then basically make your work weeks and weekends the same days, and it's going to make you to be able to just basically perform on all of these the same way. So this is a huge thing for you guys, and just make sure that you keep the consistent schedule. You can even make a calendar for yourself and just basically assign a specific time slot for each day on the same time. So for example, if you want to eat your breakfast at 6 a.m., you can basically assign it a time slot on your calendar and do that, even if it's a weekend or if it's a work week. This is pretty much huge, and hopefully this will also help you to think about your weekends in a different time frame to improve your performance, especially in the next work week. But it also works in the longer time frame, and the more you do this, the better it gets for you, because one, you are able to work on your goals, you are able to engage your cognitive mind, but you are also able to ditch any habits which aren't that productive for you, which usually pop up when we don't have much to do and when we don't have structure in our lives, which, for example, for most of the people happens during the weekends or even during the bank holidays, because there's a lot of free time for you to basically fuck around. So keep this in mind, guys, and hopefully this helps. Thank you.